If you're looking for a quick and easy way to set up your Notion page with more aesthetically pleasing layouts, stay tuned to see how you can make your Notion page look like this. What we've done is set up a sample Notion page for our notes, and as you can see, we've got 4 different cards that show 4 different images to keep all of our notes in order. So for example, if we wanted to look at our Notion section, this would be where we stage all of our notes that have the Notion topic. And similarly, if we want to look at YouTube, our ideas, or a school topic, we would just click whichever card we want and we could see all the notes that we have relating to that specific topic. So if you're ready to get going on this, let's get started. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a page we created to house all of our notes. And these 4 cards that we're viewing are in gallery mode. And this is going to show exactly where we keep our notes for specific topics. And so in this example, each of these cards we're going to refer to as notebooks. So as if we have 4 separate notebooks where we keep our notes for the 4 different topics. So what I'm going to show you now is how we can set this up and apply it to any of the uses that we need for our particular situation. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to emphasize the importance of always planning before we set anything up. And so what I mean by that is, the first thing we need to do before we set up the cards within this page is we need to make sure that we have a database that we're going to reference when we set everything up. So what you can see here is I set up a sample database with just a little bit of generic information. So let's just say that these are the notes that I would have had written, and then these are the topics or notebooks that we're going to reference in the actual cards, and then this is just the date that we put these examples in. And so now if we go back to the notes page, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a new page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit the / and type in page. And so right here you can see it says page. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now you can see a new page popped up. So I'm going to go ahead and click back 1 step, and then I'm just going to right click on new page and just hit right here where it says open link in new tab. What that's going to allow me to do is just switch between the 2 pages so I can make sure everything looks similar. And so now I'm in the new page, click the 3 dots in the top right, I'm just going to click full width right here, and that'll allow us to have a full width on the entire page. So the first thing you'll see is we had a cover photo, we had an icon, and then we named the page Notes page. So what I'm going to do here, I'll just name this Notes, and then I'm going to go ahead and add an icon. So we'll just use the same icon that we had before or something similar. If these recent items don't pop up, you can always just type in like pencil, something like that, and then you can see this is a note icon. Once you click it, you've got different colors, so I'll just go ahead and click the black and white icon. And then now we're just going to go ahead and click add cover. And so here something will just pop up. What I'm going to do is in the top right corner, click change cover. And then I'll click unsplash right here. And then in this search bar, I'll just type in lights. And so now this is the image we used in the last one. Just to keep the differentiation, I'll just click this one right here. Nothing too important. This is just an example. So now you can see we have that cover page, or excuse me, the cover photo. And if you want to change it, you can always change it or reposition it. I'm just going to go ahead and drag up a little bit, and you can see you can just readjust the position. I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. Not super important. Okay, so now if we go back to the original page, you can see that everything's set up. I'm going to go ahead and add this little line right here. And so underneath notes, if you hit enter, just push the dash button 3 times, you see that line pops up. And so now to keep everything consistent, what you can see is we have these 4 cards here. So the way that we're going to do that, I'm going to go ahead and set up another database within this page. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the / button and type in data, and then you'll see database pops up. I'm going to go ahead and use table view right here. Okay, so now the new database popped up, and in the table right here, I'm just going to type in notebooks. Okay, and so now you'll see that the only property that's here is the name. So just to keep it the same, I'm going to type in Notion, YouTube, Ideas, and School. Okay, so now we've got our 4 topics right here. These are going to each individually be our notebooks. So what I'm just going to do here is change this to say notebooks. And then right here, I'm going to click and change the icon. All right, so now what you can see is we've got our notebooks right here. And so what I'm going to do is go into the settings, and then I'm going to go ahead and change a couple things. So right here, once I click the settings, I'm going to click layout where it says table. And now you can see we have a few different options. I'm just going to go ahead and select gallery. And now you can see that this changed to those 4 cards, very similar to what we had here. Okay, so now what we're going to do in our next step is we're going to change these cards so that the pictures show up just like they did right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is click this Notion card. I'm going to make it a full page. I'm going to go ahead and make this the full width. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cover photo. And so I'm going to click Change Cover, Unsplash. And since this is the Notion notebook, I'm just going to type in Notion in the search bar. And then you'll see the image that I chose for the last page pops up right here. And now what you can see is if you want to adjust the positioning or anything, you can. I'm just going to leave it how it is. I'll go ahead and add an icon. So I click Icons. And again, these recent popped up. I'm going to go ahead and search for it just so you can see every step. So now you can see we've got the Notion cover photo right here. We've got the icon and we've got the name. I'm going to go ahead and go back. So now we took care of Notion. I'm going to go ahead and click YouTube and do the same thing. All right, so we just finished the school notebook, and so now we're going to go back and take a look at this notes page. So this is the original page that we had. So now I'm going to go back to the page we just created, and you'll see that the cards still aren't showing anything. So this is a very easy fix. All we have to do is go into Settings, and then we're going to click Layout. We're still in gallery mode, and then on the right-hand side here, you'll see where it says Card Preview. If you go ahead and click that, the 3 options that pop up are None, Page Cover, and Page Content. There's nothing inside the pages, but we do have cover photos, so if you click Page Cover, what you'll see is now those photos pop up. And so that's how we change the cover photos in the actual pages and have them show on all 4 cards. All right, so now that we've got our 4 cards set up, what we're going to do now is we're going to reference the database with all of our notes that we want to open up in each specific card. So before we do that, I'm going to change one setting. So if I click Notion here, what you'll see is we've opened up in center peek view. I want to change that so it opens up into a full page. So I'm going to go ahead and click Settings. I'm going to go ahead and click Layout. And then right here on the bottom, it says Open Pages In. If I click that, it's going to open up 3 options. I'm going to choose Full Page. And now what that's going to do is when I click on any of these 4 cards, it'll actually open it in a full page. It's just a personal preference. That's how I want to view it, but you don't have to do that by any means. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at this database that we created earlier. This again has all the notes that we want, and this corresponds with the different notebooks where we want that information to appear. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back into my notes page and I'm going to click Notion. And so in this Notion page, I'm going to reference the database that has those notes. So what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to hit / and type in data, and then I'm going to click Table View for database. And then once I do that, on the right-hand side here, I'm going to click this Link to Existing Database option. And then I'm going to click Video Databases YouTube, since that's the database that has all the notes that I want to reference. And now you'll see that all of this information right here is the same information that was in this database earlier. So we created that video notes database, and now it has all of the information. But since we're in the Notion card, we only want to see the information that has a Notion notebook next to it. So we're just going to go to this filter icon right here and click it. And then we're going to click Notebook. And now we're going to click Notion, since we only want to see the Notion notes in this particular card. So you'll see we've got the notes for Notion right here, and we're in the Notion card. So I'm going to go back. And now similarly, you'll see if I click YouTube, there's nothing in the YouTube card yet. So I'm going to follow that same exact process that I did for Notion in YouTube. And now you can see similarly in the YouTube card, we have all of the YouTube notes that we want. So now I'm going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to do the same exact thing for the next 2 cards, and then we'll pick up at the next step. Okay, so now we've got all 4 of our cards loaded up with the information. So if I click the Notion card, you'll see that we have the Notion notes. If I click the YouTube card, we've got the YouTube notes. If I click the Ideas card, we've got the Ideas notes. And if I click the School card, we've got the School notes. And now that we've got our 4 cards set up, what we can do also is rearrange these notes in any order we want. So say if I wanted my Ideas tab to be first, I'm just going to click on that card and just drag it over to the left. And you can see that blue line right there on the left-hand side. That shows where the card is going to land. So now you can see Ideas is at the farthest left. If I wanted to go back to how it was, I could just click and drag it back after YouTube, and then you'll see that it just rearranged everything the way that we had it. Okay, so now that we've got it set up on desktop view, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to go ahead and see what it looks like on our phone. So I'm going to show what it looks like once we're scrolling through on the phone app as opposed to desktop. All right, so here we are in the Notion app, and you can see based upon the cover photo at the top, this is that first page that we were working on. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom and then click Notes, and this should bring up that new page we just created. And as you can tell from this cover photo, this is that new page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test some of these cards and just make sure everything looks good. So I'm going to click that Notion card, and as you can see, it looks like both notes popped up. I'm going to scroll to the right. It's got the date and it's got the notebook selection, so that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to scroll down and just take a look at the Ideas card and see if that works. And it looks like that is working as well. It's got the 2 notes that we have in there on this page, and then I'm going to scroll to the right and just see that it has Ideas as the notebook selection and it has the date. And so what I'm going to do is go back and just take a look. Everything looks good on the page. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to desktop mode, do a couple more settings, and so let's jump right back into it. All right, so here we are back in our Notion desktop, and this is that notes page we just created. I wanted to show a couple settings for any of the newer Notion users that might be with us. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this Notion card. And then the first thing I want to show is that if you look right here on the left-hand side, next to where it says Create Gallery View Page and Update Notes Database, there's those 2 little page icons. And so what those are the page icons for each individual page that has those notes. So you have 2 options what you can do with this. The first option, you can go to each one and you can click it individually. You can change the icon. So say we'll just use this plus sign with a circle, and then depending on what color you want, I'm just going to stick with the black and white. And so you can go to each page and you can change that icon, or if you don't want to see that, what you can do is click Settings right here and then go to Layout. And this switch right here, it says Show Page Icon. If you click that, what you'll notice right here is that those icons disappear. So again, you can either change each icon on your own, or you can turn off that setting and then you won't see those page icons. And the second topic that I wanted to cover is, if you look right here, there's a comments section. I don't have a use for that at this point, and so what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn that off. And so the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to go in the top right corner, and these 3 dots I'm going to click, and you go to Customize Layout, and then you'll see an option right here that says Page Discussions, and if you click where it says Expanded, you've got 2 options. I'm going to go ahead and click it to Off, and then I'm going to hit Apply to All Pages, and now what you'll see is there's no more comments section the way that there was before. So again, I don't have a purpose for those comments, so I'm not going to use them. If you want to turn that off or leave it on, that's fine. Either way, you have that option. All right, so now we're back here in our notes page that we created, and you can see that we have our 4 notebook cards that we set up. And so now what I'm going to do is show everyone how to set up a different layout style for the same exact function. So what I'm going to do is, just for training purposes, I'm going to go over here and hover over these 6 dots next to notebooks. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hover over where it says Duplicate, and I'm going to select Duplicate with Content. So when I click that, what it's actually doing is it's making an exact duplicate of this database gallery view that we created. So I'm going to go right here to where it says Notebooks, and I'm just going to go ahead and change this so it says Duplicate. Okay, so now that we have this duplicate, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we can lay this out in a different style than what we've had before. So the first different way that we can lay it out, I'm going to hover over right here to Settings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that if you go to Layout, we can change the size of these actual cards. So I'm going to click right here where it says Card Size Medium, and you have small, medium, or large. So I'm going to click Small so you can see, and that changes the size to small. And similarly, I'm going to change it to large. And now you can see we've got a lot bigger size cards here showing up. So that's one way you can change the size. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the medium size. So layout, card size, medium. And so now another thing you can do, if you don't want them horizontal, I'm gonna go ahead and come right down here and just click. And now you can see that we can add a new area. I'm gonna go ahead and put / column. And when I type in the / column, you can see that we have options for 2, 3, 4, or 5 columns. So in this example, I'm just gonna select 2 columns. And now what you can see is we've got a column right here, and then we've got another column right here. And so what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually going to go to this duplicate copy of the notebooks, and I'm gonna hold and left click and drag right here on these 6 dots, and I'm gonna drag it into that first column. And so you see when I drag, that blue line goes all the way across the screen. That means that it's gonna move it down all the way across the screen view. And if I go a little bit lower into that section we just created, that blue line is only going about halfway across the screen. And that means that we're gonna drop that notebook section into that left column. And so I'm gonna go ahead and release it. And now you can see it doesn't take up the whole page. And so now that we've got it in this left column, we can leave it like that with the 4 tiles showing. Or if we want to have those cards vertical, what I can do is hover my mouse over that little column separator, and you see the left and right arrow. I'm going to go ahead and left click and hold and drag to the left, and now you can see that it changes to a vertical layout. And so now it's the same exact layout that we've got vertically on that mobile app, except now we've got it on the desktop. So if you wanted to set up a dashboard, you have the option to make them horizontal, or you can make those notebook cards vertical as well. So as you can see, what this allows us to do is customize our pages. So if you want to have the horizontal cards laid out, or if you want to have your notebook cards vertical just like this, you can change the column size, or if you wanted to, you could change the size in this settings portion just like we did earlier. So I'm going to click layout, I'm going to go to card size, and if I make it large, now you can see they're a little bit bigger. And so if you expand that column out, now you've got a little bit wider of a column with those notebook cards laid out. So what we're doing here is just showing how to use that gallery mode function in the actual databases. So I hope this helps, and let me know in the comments section if you know of an easier way to do this or another way to do it, and let's get the conversation going.